What would you do if the law sworn to protect you? It became the very weapon used against you. If the police refused to defend your family from racist mobs, would you still believe in nonviolence? In 1961, one man, Robert F. Williams, decided he would not be a victim. He armed himself, trained his community, and he forced America to confront a truth it wasn't ready to face. But history buried his name. Why? Because his story is dangerous, even today. Robert F. Williams was no ordinary activist. Born in Monroe, North Carolina in 1925, he grew up in the Jim Crow South, where segregation wasn't just a law, it was a threat whispered in every corner of life. By the 1950s, he had seen enough of America's justice system to know it wasn't designed for black people. Yet the civil rights movement was rising, preaching nonviolent resistance. But Williams, yet another idea. Nonviolence is fine, as long as it works. Robert F. Williams. Monroe was a small southern town, but it was a microcosm of America's racial violence. The Ku Klux Klan operated openly. Police turned a blind eye to lynchings, beatings, and cross-burnings. Black citizens couldn't count on the law for protection, so Williams, president of the local NAACP chapter, began organizing something unheard of: armed black self-defense. He recruited military veterans from the Korean War and World War II. They formed a group called the Black Guard. They trained with rifles, built shooting ranges, and patrolled black neighborhoods at night. And guess what? The violence from the Klan suddenly slowed down. But Williams' methods put him in direct conflict with the national civil rights leadership, especially Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who feared armed resistance would invite mass slaughter. The NAACP headquarters pressured Williams to step down. But in his own words, we must be willing to meet violence with violence, to defend ourselves by any means necessary. Sound familiar? Years later, Malcolm X would echo that same sentiment, but Williams was saying it before Malcolm was a national figure. In 1961, Williamstown became the scene of a national crisis. Freedom riders, black and white activists, challenging segregation, came to Monroe. White mobs attacked them, while police did nothing. During the chaos, a white couple drove into the black neighborhood and was surrounded by angry residents. Williams sheltered the couple in his home, not to harm them, but to protect them from violence. But when they left, local authorities twisted the story, accusing Williams of kidnapping. A warrant was issued for his arrest, facing prison. Or worse, Williams fled the United States with his wife, Mabel. They traveled to Cuba, where Fidel Castro offered him political asylum. In Havana, Williams began broadcasting Radio Free Dixie, a revolutionary radio show calling for black resistance in America. His words beamed across the South, inspiring thousands, and enraging the FBI. The U.S. government labeled him a dangerous communist, erasing him from the respectable civil rights narrative. Williams didn't stop in Cuba. He traveled to China, meeting with Mao Zedong, and framed the black struggle in America as part of a global fight against imperialism and racism. He became an international voice while back home. His name was smeared in newspapers as an enemy of America. Yet to those who heard him, he was speaking a truth the country wanted to silence. In 1969. Williams in exile. Williams negotiated his return to the U.S. under the condition that his charges be dropped. But the damage was done. The civil rights movement had moved on. His name was largely forgotten, overshadowed by figures who fit the safe narrative America preferred. Robert F. Williams challenged one of America's deepest myths, that freedom could be won without force, without resistance, without the threat of fighting back. His book, Negroes with Guns, became a blueprint for the Black Panther Party. His example showed that self-defense is not the opposite of justice, it can be the protector of it. Today, in a time when the debate over protest, police violence, and self-defense still rages, Williams' story forces us to ask, was he a radical or just a realist? Robert F. Williams' life was a warning and a promise. A warning that America will try to erase anyone who refuses to play by its rules, and a promise that no matter how hard they try, the truth will always find its way back. So, why wasn't this man in your history books? Maybe the answer says more about America than it does about him. *** Robert F. Williams. Story was buried for decades, but now you know. Don't let this truth disappear again. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe. You never miss the history they tried to erase, and drop a comment telling us what you think America is still hiding. The more we speak, the harder it is for them to silence us.